to be tangent to this one. So now, if you see, it made the surface will come in tangent at the bottom and will end up tangent at the top. And we could do that. We could do this on all 4 faces, but we actually want to do that just on 2. If we do these across like this, and now it's asking which face to be tangent. So the first one we want it to be tangent to this guy, and the last one we want it to be tangent to this guy. Okay. If we were to do the same thing here, which we can, and then tangent from this face to this, this face, it does the same thing, but we see we have a gap here, right? Because this surface here didn't line up exactly right with to get to there. So what we can do, instead of making a through curves, we can just make a through curves mesh like we did before. So we can say go from this curve to this curve, and we want it to be single curve. So this curve, middle click, and then single curve. Right, thanks. So that one, okay. And then, and middle click, and now it'll ask what are the cross curves. So we want this to be one of the cross curves right here, and middle click, and this is the other cross curve. And now it snapped it to, it followed along, and so it's a seam. There's not a gap there. You'll notice it is a little bit off. It doesn't quite follow a straight line there, but for the sake of this lab, that's okay. So yeah, so we just do one more here. So we go from here to there with the cross curve of this guy and this guy. And so there we have our shape. Now we can hide all these. If we change our expressions, so like circle height, if we change that to 50, that should make that longer. We can change the circle diameter to 75, and everything will stretch there. We could even make that 150, and we could make this distance to be 50, and square side we can make that real small, like 30. And you'll see that everything, it'll morph with it because the sketches are the same, and so it'll just keep redrawing those surfaces parametrically. So that one's pretty cool. So as an assignment to turn in, they want 2 pictures of the first one, 2 pictures of this guy, one at 2 different dimensions, and the same with this, just stretched parametrically to show that you've been able to successfully do that. So that's that. The third one that we're going to do is a car hood kind of thing. So if we go to this. Basically, this one, just make something that looks like that. There's no like set dimensions. You can kind of just do your own thing. The way we would suggest doing it, though, is once again use these orthogonal planes, right? I just made 3 datum planes, and I drew 1 sketch on the bottom, 1 sketch on the side, and 1 sketch on the front. You see that? So this sketch here will be the front of will be this guy right here on the front. And then the top, the one on the this sketch here will represent the geometry on the top, basically from this green line back. And then the side curvature, how it bends down, is represented by this guy on the side here. Okay? And I've made these sketches parametric. So I first actually made a sketch, this guy, that is a bunch of reference lines and then 1 solid line. Or what you could do is you could just make reference lines of the shape, because you're going to want to, this is something else important, you're going to want to make 4 different sketches. You're going to want to make each of these lines their own sketch. And I'll explain that right now. Here's the reason why. Because we're going to use another thing called projection. If we say insert curve from curves, and we say combine projection. So what we do here with the combined projection, if we select this curve, right, which is just 1 curve and it's pointing up, and then this curve 2, we select this curve and it's pointing out. So wherever those two run into each other in space, it will make another curve. So we say, okay, and there it made something that looks exactly the same if it's viewed from the top as this guy, and exactly the same viewed from the side as this guy, but in 3 space it's a little bit different. See that? And so you're going to want to make these sketches down here one line a piece, because then you're going to make these individually. So insert, curve from curves, combined projection. So this guy and this curve, apply, and it'll make that right there. And this curve and this curve. And you'll notice this one's a little bit slanted. Apply, and this curve and this curve. Apply. So now you notice I've made that surface up, or the 4 lines projected curves, right? And I already have these curves in a sketch down here. By the way, all these sketches are parametric, so if we were to stretch these, tools, expression, I just have a length, width, height. So like the width is this way. So if I change this to be something else, it will, everything, all the sketches will move. And I use geometric constraints to constrain the midpoint of this line so it always stays on the center. Length as well we can change, apply, and everything moves with it. See that? Now here's another thing you want to, that's a little bit tricky. We want to make a line going from here to there. And we want it to be both tangent to this line and tangent to this line. So the one that we use, hold on a sec, I just got a message from so if we insert curve from curves, bridge is what we're going to use. And so it asks, what's the start curve? So we want this one, be the start curve, and the end option is this one. And you'll notice that it has these arrows. So it's saying I'm pointing out from here, and I'm pointing up from here, and it makes them tangent. See that, to both curves. Now sometimes you might have a problem with this. If we were to try it again, curve from curves, bridge, this, and I think if we select the bottom edge of this, so what it did now, since I selected this edge of the line, it thinks I want to make a curve coming out of the bottom of this instead of coming out of the top. So now it did it as best it could, but that's not what we're looking for. See that? So what we want to do is undo. Just make sure you do it the right side. So here to this side of the thing, and it should make a curve like that. So from this curve to this curve. Okay? And so now we have that surface. Now we can just do another one of these curve from, or mesh surface. So a through curves mesh, and we can select all 4 of these lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice how all these arrows are pointing the same direction. If I had an arrow pointing this way, it would mess it up. And I got the arrows to point on this way by clicking on this side of the line. And now the cross curves, I want this one and this one. And there it can make that mesh sweep. Okay? And then I drew in my sketch just a simple geometry here to cut out. So I can just do a simple extrude of this guy. We can say through all subtract, and it already knows it's going to do that. Okay? And it cut a hole. And then we just simply use thicken, which is insert. Actually, I don't remember where thicken is. This is great. If you guys don't know about the command finder, it's the greatest thing ever. You just type in what you're looking for, if you know what the command is that you're looking for, and it will find what you. So I want to use this one, and it tells you right where it's at. So it's insert, offset scale, thicken. So insert, offset scale, thicken, and it asks which face I want to do. This face, and let's just do it 1 millimeter. Okay, and there it made a very thin surface. So now, as all my sketches are parametric, this thing should move with my expressions as I change them. Hood length, make that 30. It should just smash everything up here. All right. So that's basically it. And then, so this one, they want you to also turn in 2 images of this thing with different expressions. And then after that, the homework assignment just asks you to model, just to practice surface modeling by just modeling a part from your car using surfaces. So, yes? Oh, that's a very good point. Yeah, so it looks, you can see the surface and the solid are overlapping. Thank you for pointing that out. So I can just hide this, and then that solid is viewed. All right, so yeah, so just 2 images of each of these. So that'll be 6 images total with their different sizes, and it asks to also, under each image, give a parameter name, so like height equals 50 millimeters. And then also, homework exercises number 1, here it says just find some components that should be modeled using solids, or you just model one part from your car using surfaces, just to practice surfaces. It could be one that would be fine to model using solids as well, but just as practice to do that. And they should be pretty simple, especially if they're pretty blocky parts, pretty square parts. Okay, are there any questions about anything we've done? Okay, great. We'll just be wandering around giving you guys any help with this, and you got plenty of time. Oh, and then also one more thing though. Remember, next week are the design reviews. We're going to start doing design reviews. So we're going to send out an email talking about that, about what you need to submit and how it's going to go, and what's the order that we're going to present in. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Keep a heads up for that. Keep your eyes open for that email. Okay. Those of you who are listening on Skype, I'm going to hang up the call now. If you have any questions and you'd like some help, just call me back. Okay? Okay. Bye. Yes.